1, 2, 3.
Whoa.
You beautiful people, welcome to another episode of The Function Factory. I'm your host, Charles Cerrito, and this is Keith Johnson. Today, we are here at Merica Motorsports installing some K-Sport Control Pro coilovers on Project Charlie Horse. If you don't know what Project Charlie Horse is, it's my 2016 Ford Mustang EcoBoost. To give you a little more insight on K-Sport USA, they've been providing the nation for 13 years with high-quality suspension parts for foreign and domestic vehicles. So without further ado, let's get to the install. K-Sport USA has provided us with these brand new Control Pro coilovers. They are perfect for street and track use and have many features of a full-out race option coilover. Featuring their flagship orange anodized accents, these coilovers include front camber plates, adjustable up to -5 degrees, and 32-way adjustable rebound. If you have access to a lift, we highly recommend that you use one for this install. If not, jack stands in a garage will suffice. Start by removing all 4 wheels. A 21mm socket will do the job. We now have complete access to the OEM strut and spring. Remove the ABS sensor from the strut. Following the ABS sensor wire from the front to the back of the knuckle, remove the sensor from the knuckle. Repeat the process on the adjacent side. Remove the single nut from the sway bar link. Now remove the 2 nuts and bolts that hold the strut to the knuckle. Carefully remove the 3 nuts that hold the top hat to the strut tower, and while loosening the last nut, make sure to have a firm handle on the strut and remove it from the vehicle. Alright guys, I've had enough rock crawling, and I've decided to go with a 2-inch drop from factory ride height. Doing some research on Mustang 6G, we've determined this is the best ride height for daily driving and aggressive track use. Keith lines the bottom perches up and takes measurements to ensure equal ride height. Preload has been set from the factory, and if tampered with, your warranty can and will be voided. Ride height is always set by the bottom perch. After setting the desired ride height, lock the collars in place with the provided spanner wrenches. We can now start the installation of our K-Sport Control Pro coilovers. Note that the strut tower is not large enough in circumference to make camber adjustments to the top plate, so make sure to set your camber plates in the middle before driving your Mustang to the alignment shop. Use the OEM hardware to secure the coilover studs to the strut tower. Be careful not to over-tighten the nuts, as they will and can warp the strut mount. Reattach the sway bar link to the tab on the coilover. Push the knuckle back into the bottom perch and install the 2 OEM nuts and bolts. Keith uses a dab of Loctite for added security. These bolts are nulled at the top and will require some force to tighten. Reinstall the ABS bracket to the chassis, coilover, and the ABS sensor behind the knuckle. Starting in the rear, we again take measurements to ensure a level ride height from front to back. It's extremely important to adjust the bottom perch to keep the strut the correct length. 1/3 of the strut is allowed to compress, but make sure that 2/3 of the strut is left visible outside of the strut. In the rear, start by removing the nut that holds the sway bar end link. You will need to use an Allen key and a wrench to remove the nut all the way. Once that is complete, remove the top 2 bolts holding the rear strut bracket in place, and then make your way down to the LCA and remove the bolts holding the bottom strut. Remove the strut along with the dust cap. This will give you access to the nut holding the mounting bracket to the strut. After removing the bracket, we can start assembling the K-Sport rear strut. Using an Allen key, tighten the nut onto the strut, securing the bracket in place. Back over to the rear of the car. Remove the bolt holding the rear tow arm and integral link from the rear spindle. Using a screw jack, support the LCA and remove the bolt holding the knuckle. Moving to the subframe side, remove the bolt from the subframe holding the LCA in place and lower the screw jack. Use a pry bar and find safe leverage to free the LCA bushing from the subframe and rear knuckle. From there, the spring will come out. We start prepping the rear spring seat with grease on both sides. This is necessary as there is metal-to-metal contact. The new seat goes on top of the new K-Sport spring. As it is shorter than the OEM spring, it will go in much easier. Using the screw jack once again, lift the LCA back into place and use a pry bar to help the bushing seat between the knuckle and subframe. Reinstall all of your hardware and arms. Make sure to use blue Loctite for added security. You can now remove the screw jack. Finally, we install the K-Sport rear strut. 2 bolts on top and 2 bolts on the bottom LCA. To wrap up our install, we drop the front adjustment knobs into the screw holes. It is important to have these installed, so make sure you put them in. These knobs will allow you to make rebound adjustments. To check your rebound, screw the knob counterclockwise and adjust in for stiff rebound. Alright guys, let's throw the wheels back on and let's see how she looks.
Go, 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 go!
Just check out what 2 inches lower can do for these cars. From first impression, I am blown away from the ride quality. Remember, our Mustang came equipped with the performance package, meaning stiffer springs and beefier sway bars. And guess what? That translated into a harsher ride, and now it is completely eliminated by these K-Sport coilovers. I don't want to get too in-depth with these just yet, so stay tuned for our on-track review of the K-Sport Control Pro coilover for your 2015 to 2017 Mustang. Special thanks to Keith Johnson over at America Motorsports located in Phoenix, Arizona. If you're looking for a one-stop shop, America Motorsports is your #1 solution. They are able to provide precise engine building, fabrication, and dyno tuning. If you're interested in purchasing a set of K-Sport Control Pro coilovers, please leave a comment on this video expressing interest and a crew member will contact you. For us to keep producing these videos, smack that like button, give us a share, and follow us on Instagram at The Function Factory. Most importantly, thank you to our sponsors that made it possible to attend the 2016 SEMA show. Do us a great favor and visit the following: Ford Performance, America Motorsports, K-Sport USA, Caliber the Wealth Development Company, Higher Quality Detail, Ceramic Pro, Full Race Motorsports, Anderson Composites, Santan Ford, Competition Clutch, Slick Shot Paint, Lot USA Brid, Voodoo 13, Toyo Tires, Motool, Street Faction, Heroes Prince, Easy Wrap Sesh, and Yokohama Wheels USA. We'll be back with episode 4 of the Full Race Intercooler install, so stay tuned and thank you for your continued support.